Hello everybody, my name is Max McAllister and I'm here today to talk to you about a problem that you may have experienced if you have a Keystone brand camper of either fifth wheel or tow behind nature. They come pre-wired for the Furrion systems of backup and security cameras. So on the back it has a nice pre-mounted base from Furrion, and the trailer's got a power wire there and everything. So you theoretically just take the blind cover off, plug in the camera, put the 4 screws back in, and instantly you have a wireless backup camera system for your camper. However, that just doesn't work. It sounds great. I researched this on the internet and I can't believe I can't find more instances of it and what people have done to fix it. I've seen people complain, but nobody's found the fix. So what I did to the symptom is simply that it just won't pair. The camera won't pair. You can bring the truck up to the camera up to your truck, and it'll pair with the harness that comes with the 12 volt DC cigarette lighter plug-in harness. Has an extra little pigtail on it. You plug the camera in, you can pair them. They pair instantly. Everything works perfect. As soon as you plug the camera into its location on the camper, it just won't pair ever again. So now it requires just a 12 volt positive electrical source and a ground. That's it for the little pigtail that goes to the camera. So let's go around the back and we'll talk about this here. So here's the Furrion Vision S camera mounted on the back of this Keystone Cougar, and it's where they connect it to get power is into the running light system that's immediately above it. So those are 12 volt LEDs. This is a 2019 model camper, and you know, once I began troubleshooting, I removed the camera and checked above the light. Sure enough, there's 12 volts. Actually, with my truck hitched up and running, it's receiving like the charging voltage of like 12.8 volts. So there's plenty of voltage. I plugged the camera back in and then actually tested again at the connection, and it would drop to 12.3 or something with the camera putting a load on it. There's a blue light that indicates the camera's on. For all intents and purposes, it should just work, but it just doesn't work. So next I just took the camera, and to see if there was something about the camper that was causing interference, I just put the camera on the dock here, hitched it to a motorcycle battery. It just works perfectly, you know, so I could back up, you know, very far with it and it would work just fine. So if you had a long fifth wheel, it's not the camera. So now I'm back to the wiring. So next I isolated the power and grounds to it by taking the motorcycle battery, running a ground wire to the chassis of the camper, running a power wire to the camera, and then running the ground wire from the camera to the ground wire of the lighting system, of the running light system on the camper. The camera still works fine. So it's just a question of when you put the voltage from those lights. Now I talked to a friend of mine who's more of an electrical wizard than I am, and he says it's possible that the way the camera is accepting a load, there's something on it that it'll read 12 volts, but it's really not getting 12 volts. And it's something you can only see on a scope. Okay, I'm not a guy with a scope. So my immediate fix was, well, if it just needs 12 volts, I'm gonna give it 12 volts. And now without starting up too big of a controversy, there's many people who, for many valid reasons, want to have their camera be on while they're driving down the road. They wanna see what vehicles are doing behind them. They want to make sure if they're passing, they're clear before they pull over. So many people want this camera running while they're going down the road. So, you know, I see people debate against it. I think it's stupid. If you can look in your rearview mirror and watch that while you're going down the road, there's no difference between watching a backup camera and looking at a rearview mirror. You're an idiot if you argue otherwise. So anyway, that's my statement on that. I would like to be able to see mine as I go down the road. So the problem is, if you deal with a really nice camper like these are 4 Seasons rated campers. The walls are highly insulated, and so getting a wire through so it looks nice is no easy task. I'll show you what I did. to accomplish that, I hung a plumb line, just a piece of string with a little weight, off of the very center of the hole where the light, I removed the mount so I could see the hole behind it. I hung a string and I put a mark where the string came, so I know I was going straight down from the light. And I took, this is an 1 1/8" hole saw. You can use the size that suits you, but an 1 1/8" hole saw, and I bored this hole into the wall of the camper. So behind it, it is hollow, and then there is a back wall in there. So initially when I did it, I used the hole saw, the pilot drill, and then let the hole saw get started. Then I retracted the pilot bit because I didn't know what was behind it. But as it turns out, there's nothing behind it, and you're fine to just kind of bore through. But you might want to follow that process. Use the pilot bit to get the hole started, and then go. So I drilled the hole, and then I ran just a solid a fish tape through, a blade fish tape, just like you would pull a wire through a wall with. I did start at the top, and I couldn't get it to find its way to the bottom. I went from the bottom, and it worked perfectly on the first try. You will be going behind the wall, behind the foam insulation. It will just naturally send the fish tape there. You can't mess that up. So once you do that, you'll pull your wires through. You'll just need a power wire and a ground wire, a red and a black. The black, I decided instead of trying to tap back into the running light system of the trailer, I wasn't gonna deal with the possibility of it even interfering. So I wanted its own ground to the chassis and its own 12-volt power source. So once I had that, then so that I don't have the wires coming out in this direction, I took a long drill bit, went through that back wall, poked a hole, a 1/4 inch hole, and then I fed the 2 wires out there. So they are run out behind this. Now, I'm just gonna go buy a rubber plug to block this hole off so that I'll fill it with some silicone so it's weatherproof, and then put a rubber plug on the top so that it looks nice. And that'll be done with that. Right here, if you can see under here, I have the ground wire. It's simply using one of the screws that holds the insulation panel on the bottom up. They are drilled right into the chassis, so that's an effective place for a ground. The power wire, I then used some adhesive-backed zip tie plates, and I'll show you some of those here because I run them all along the camper. So you can buy a bag of these at Home Depot. You want to clean the surface with some contact cleaner or alcohol. You stick it, and then it gives you a mounting point to pull a zip tie through. So there are, in the frame runners, pockets cut so you can pass wire through. I just made sure I suspended the wire off of any steel anywhere so it's never touching. And I just ran that wire all the way down the length of the camper. All right, and then we keep coming up this way. Then I routed the wire all the way up here to the front, and underneath I put a inline fuse in the wire, and I tied it to the positive battery terminal here. But in between it, I put a interrupter switch just so that I can turn the camera on or off. So I actually can have it on if I want, like while I'm inside at night, if I want to have like a security camera near the bed. So I just move the monitor into the camper, plug it in, and I have a security monitor inside the trailer now, or at least on one camera. So that's it. So it's a switch. I just turn it on. I have a perfectly clear, instantaneously pairing backup camera, and that's solved my problem. So if you have this problem and need a fix, here it is. Please give this video a thumbs up. Share with your friends if they have a Keystone camper that's giving them fits and can't get their Furrion Vision S camera system to work. This will be the way around it. So my name's Max. Thanks a lot.